Let me guess. You've been grinding for weeks. You've read every productivity book. You've tried cold showers, deep work, caffeine, meditation, everything. But you still feel stuck. You sit down to work, and your mind wanders. You scroll. You second guess. You start something new again. And then you see those people online, you know the type. The ones who say, I worked for 8 hours straight, didn't even notice the time. Yeah, that's called the flow state. And they make it sound mystical, like some monk-level superpower. But it's not magic. It's science. And it's the reason your best work never happens when you're trying too hard. See, you don't get into flow by forcing it. You fall into it, like slipping into a current that carries you. And once you're in, everything just clicks. Ideas connect. Time disappears. You perform like a different person. Most people never enter the flow, not because they can't, but because their lives are built to block it. 1. The noise problem. The truth is, you can't find flow in chaos. You're living in mental clutter. Your brain is like a tab browser with no ad blocker. You check your phone 96 times a day. You switch between apps every 40 seconds. You've trained your mind to crave distraction. Then wonder why you can't focus. Flow is fragile. It needs quiet, not silence. Quiet. The kind where your thoughts can finally breathe. But instead of giving yourself that space, you've filled it with noise, constant stimulation disguised as productivity. Emails, notifications, urgent tasks. You're busy, but not moving. Active, but not alive. You want to access flow? You need to build boredom tolerance. You need to let your brain get bored enough to focus again. Because boredom is the doorway to brilliance. Every creative breakthrough in history, Einstein's thought experiments, Newton under the apple tree, started with someone bored enough to wonder. 2. The skill sweet spot. Most people think flow happens when things are easy. Wrong. Flow happens when things are just hard enough. Too easy, and you're bored. Too hard, and you're anxious. The magic lives right in between, where your skills stretch, but don't snap. It's like a surfer waiting for the perfect wave. Not too small, not too big, just enough to ride, to test balance, to feel alive. The same goes for your work. If you want to feel that effortless focus, you need to stop doing busy tasks and start chasing challenging ones. That's why scrolling feels good for 10 seconds. Then empty. It's easy. It's predictable. No challenge, no reward. But when you hit that perfect level of difficulty, your brain releases dopamine, norepinephrine, and anandamide, the flow cocktail. You become sharper, faster, more creative. You stop thinking about yourself and start being yourself. 3. The entry ritual. Here's what nobody tells you. Flow doesn't start with motivation. It starts with ritual. The world's top performers, athletes, writers, entrepreneurs, all have a pre-flow ritual. Why? Because your brain loves cues. They tell it, it's time to go deep. Maybe it's lighting a candle. Maybe it's wearing noise-canceling headphones. Maybe it's opening one specific playlist or sitting in the same corner every morning. You don't stumble into flow by accident. You design it. You teach your mind to associate a routine with full engagement. That's why Kobe shot the same warm-up routine before every game. That's why Steve Jobs wore the same outfit daily. Not for fashion, but for focus. Every decision costs attention. Every distraction delays flow. Ritual removes both. 4. The ego block. This one hurts. You can't enter flow when you're too busy judging yourself. The flow state is ego death. You vanish into what you're doing. The moment you start thinking about how you look, how you sound, whether people will like your work, you're out. Ever notice how kids get lost in play? They're not performing. They're not seeking validation. They're just in it. You used to have that. Then you grew up and replaced curiosity with control. You started needing every step to make sense, every move to be perfect, every effort to look smart. That's why you can't focus. You're trying to be impressive instead of being immersed. The fix? Detach from the outcome. Stop chasing validation. Start chasing presence. Flow doesn't reward performance. It rewards participation. 5. The deep work myth. You've heard this one. Do deep work for 4 hours straight. Sounds productive, right? Except most people aren't entering flow at all. They're just staring at screens for longer. Deep work isn't about time. It's about intensity. A single focused hour in flow can outperform an entire distracted week. Because when you're in flow, you're using 500% more brain power. That's not a quote, that's neuroscience. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that doubts and overthinks, actually shuts down. You stop thinking, I'm doing this, and just do. That's why athletes call it being in the zone. Artists call it creative trance. Gamers call it God mode. It's the same state. Full focus, zero friction. 6. How to trigger flow. Okay, here's the practical part. You want to enter flow? There are 5 main triggers. Number 1, clear goals. Your brain can't focus on vague. Don't say work on the project. Say write the first 500 words. Number 2, immediate feedback. Flow needs a feedback loop. When you see progress, your brain releases dopamine. That's motivation on autopilot. Number 3, challenge skill balance. We talked about this. Stay right at the edge of what's possible. Number 4, focused attention. Turn off notifications. Block distractions. Single task, don't multitask. Number 5, intrinsic motivation. You can't flow into something you hate. Find meaning in the task itself, not just the outcome. You don't chase flow. You build a life where flow chases you. 7, the flow lifestyle. Here's the secret every high performer eventually learns. Flow isn't just a work hack. It's a way of living. When you align your work, your challenges, and your purpose, you stop fighting your brain and start surfing it. You don't wake up dreading effort anymore. You crave it because effort stops feeling like work. It feels like play. You stop measuring time in hours and start measuring it in moments fully lived. That's the flow state. Not hustle, not grind. Harmony. The point isn't to work more. It's to be more. To live so engaged, so present, that every action feels like art. So here's the truth. You don't need a new app or a planner or productivity hack. You just need to remember how to flow. Silence the noise. Stretch your limits. Kill the ego. Protect your focus. And when the current finds you, don't fight it. Just ride.